numbers is not his issue. I think the sort of goodwill that he has.
Not to squander that.
Not to fritter it away, which is what Arvind did. He frittered it away overnight. You know, he was a sensation. You had a poll, I remember a Times of India poll which said 30% of voters in the top 8 cities, 35% are considering voting for AAP after the 2013 election. And within 2 months, we saw they lost deposits at most places. Deposits. Yeah. So Vijay needs to just be a little more conservative. He has 5 years. He doesn't need to worry about what people will think after 4 months.
The assembly election in Tamil Nadu has just completely flipped the paradigm of the politics in the state, and we are going to be talking about it and trying to analyze it for some time to come. We've just had film star C Joseph Vijay sworn in as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, with a bunch of other parties coming in to support him to reach that majority mark. I'm going to have several conversations to find out what is happening here, what has gone into getting this victory, and what does it mean for the politics of India. And the first person I'm going to talk to is Arun Giri, who describes himself as an election junkie who's had his finger on the pulse of Tamil Nadu, even though he's an amateur psephologist. And interestingly, he also has a day job, which is running the very successful TaxSutra. Arun?
Thanks.
Something unbelievable, once in a lifetime, historic. What are we witnessing?
I think once in a generation elections, for sure. Historic in many ways, for the simple reason that every election is also about expectation setting. And here was a large section of the media, both national and regional, not everyone, but a large section, which undermined Vijay, underestimated TVK, and kept peddling a narrative that they are fringe players, they are factors, can't go beyond 10-15%, at the most 20%, and that is not going to convert into seats. And which is why what he actually achieved on election day, on May 4, when the results came in, is even more spectacular. Because it's one thing to do well in line with the media narrative. Like, for example, Barack Obama. Once he won a few primaries against Hillary Clinton, you know, he was a favorite. Hillary Clinton was the underdog. He won the primary. He started out of the gate in the general election against John McCain as the favorite. You know, he was expected to win that election. Here, Vijay was not expected to win. No one gave him a chance. The best people said he would do is, get 20-30 seats, maybe 40. But no one said that he could get 100 plus seats and
35%
votes, which is spectacular. So he's outperformed expectations by a mile. And that is why the shock factor. If every poll had said that he would poll 35% votes, he is going to get 80-90 seats, then I think it would have been baked in. The fact that this has come as a shock to many may not be to the voters who voted for him, because they voted out of conviction. But it's also a surprise that no one saw it coming.
They saw him as somebody who would come in, who would probably get some seats and some votes, but they did not see him as a person who would impact the election, let alone win it. Is that fair?
Absolutely. I think I've done surveys always from my college days, just to, see what people on the ground are thinking. 9 out of 10 times I have found that when the politicians see my survey, they are not able to believe it. I'll give you one example, and that will relate to Vijay. In 2014, when we said that Milind Devra would lose from South Mumbai to Arvind Sawant of Sena, someone from Milind Devra's team called my common friend, who had lent me a few resources and a few kits to do the survey. And he said that this guy has gone mad. There is no way we are losing. And I wanted to tell him that the area from where you're looking to get a lead, for 2 hours when we did a survey, only 3 people came and said they voted for you. So politicians do not always know what is on the ground. And therefore the shock factor, except one opposition MP, who told me uh, 2 days before the results, not even after the voting, 2 days before the results, that he feels that Vijay is doing far better than what everyone is thinking, is when some people in his own team told him that in our village, 25% votes have gone to Vijay. And that's when he first felt. But that was a week after the elections had happened. So, this whole point of this cynicism, this politicians live, a lot of politicians live in their own fantasy land. And therefore you don't know what's happening. And the easiest way to discount the Vijay wave was, this is film star crowd. ये तो craze है. This is a craze. The Tamil people are mad about film stars. It's after Bollywood, it's the Tamil Telugu industry which gets, you have a 5 a.m. show. We all know that by now. So you had MGR, you have had Jayalalitha, Rajnikant. These are superstars, mega stars, and therefore it's that crowd. This crowd will not convert into votes. That was the first.
So this is the view of the political class.
A lot of the political and the pundits. That this crowd will not convert into votes. Skepticism.
What about the media?
The media also. I think this was the first time Vijay was contesting. Unknown quantity. No interviews. The only thing was coming for the rallies. The fewest rallies any leader has done in Tamil Nadu in over 30 years that I have seen Tamil Nadu elections since 96. He did, to my count, after the elections were announced, around 9 rallies. Maybe he wanted to be cautious due to the Karur tragedy.
I was just going to say.
But he played it safe. And he probably knew what was happening. So he felt it better to play it safe. So a lot of people said this is like work from home. That, it's like,
he's playing a campaign. He's not serious.
He's not serious. He's not coming out. Doesn't matter. So a lot of people discounted that. And therefore, when you saw 24, 48 hours before the election, that's when a lot of youngsters started to say,
up to
we are voting for Vijay. And then the push in their families, no, we have to give Vijay a chance. And I think a lot of them, that transformed into a crescendo on the election day.
So you're saying media also did not tap into what was happening because of the fact that they did not have access to him, they did not get to see him much?
I think 2 reasons. One is you want to play it safe as media. Untested quantity. Just like AAP in 2013, everyone said, oh, untested, we don't know what's going to come. Number 2, is that a lot of the media too at times is lazy. You do not necessarily go to the ground to report, or at times even if you see something on the ground, you're not sure whether whether that will actually translate into an election outcome. So 1 is play it safe. 2 is some element of laziness. So and 3 is some element of bias.
Bias and some amount of manipulation by the established political parties?
Could be, but entrenched lobbies. You have a lot of, it's like you switch on the news channel and I'll tell you whom they are for or whom they are against. So that sort of thing, it's there everywhere. So Tamil Nadu is no exception. And I think a lot of armchair reporting, armchair journalism. There's one pundit who said, I have spoken to some few thousand people and I don't think he's getting more than 10% of the rural votes. Now, that is, if you're speaking to a few, we spoke to a few hundred in Chennai in our survey, not a few thousand, a few hundred. And it was so obvious that 2/3 of the youth vote he was picking up. He was picking up 55% of the female vote. So you don't need to speak to a few thousand in the first place.
So tell me, I mean, you've got that writing pad over there.
Yeah.
What is this amateur poll that you've been doing and that allowed you to get a sense of how big Vijay was going to be? Because, anybody who's been following you on social media, on X, which is where I've been looking at what you've been saying something's happening here. You've been saying the women are coming. You're saying the youth is coming. You saw it. When did you see it?
We saw it when we went for the exit poll. And I felt that I've never done an exit poll in Tamil Nadu. I've done in Maharashtra, I've done in Karnataka, but I've never done one in Tamil Nadu. And even when I've done, I always prefer to do a constituency-wise. So we picked up 7 seats in Chennai. Chennai is around 2016 to 26, Greater Chennai, everything put together, maybe another 30-35 seats.
So you picked 7.
We've picked up 7 seats.
Right.
Chennai has 3 Lok Sabha constituencies, and we picked up 2 to 3 assembly constituencies within each parliamentary constituency. And my hypothesis, I always like to test some hypothesis in a poll. My hypothesis was that Vijay contesting from Chennai, one of his seats, if they are not sweeping Chennai, then we don't need to poll anywhere else. If they are doing well in Chennai, then the question is how well are they able to replicate the Chennai performance to the rest of the state. It's like saying that Shiv Sena or the Uddhav Thackeray faction is being routed in Dadar, but will do well in rest of Mumbai. That won't happen. So if they are not doing well in Mumbai, in Dadar, then you don't need to poll anywhere else in Mumbai. So when we went to those 7 constituencies in Chennai, what we found was a one-sided election.
And you picked the constituencies randomly?
We picked it up randomly. Some of them high-profile contests, as for example, Perambur and Villivakkam. So Villivakkam was a close contest. Perambur, because Vijay was contesting, I also wanted to test the margin. Is Vijay winning by a huge margin? And if he is, whether that's translating into rest of Chennai. And that did. And that's exactly what we put out, saying that the raw data was indicating that more than 55% female voters were voting for Vijay. And in the youth category, the 18 to 30, he was polling almost 2/3 of the votes, 60 to 65%. Now, if you're polling, if you're sweeping 2 of the key categories or key demographics in a election, it's very difficult for you to lose. Very difficult. And it had not happened in over 30 years that Chennai had voted differently from the rest of the state.
So when Pradeep Gupta and Axis My India came in with their poll, which shocked the entire country, and where he really went out on a limb, it was very brave of him and his team, you felt that you got the confirmation you needed?
Absolutely, I did. I was only worried about one point, that had I completely botched it up, till Axis came out with their exit poll, I felt that even if we are wrong, we'll be in great company. Mine was Chennai-centric, but his poll was saying that not only is TVK sweeping Chennai, which is what we were saying, but also doing extraordinarily well in the rest of the state. So I must compliment Axis and Pradeep Gupta, because what I did say, and I said this on a digital outlet on the night of the Lok Sabha exit polls in 2024, and I said that everyone is herding, everyone may be right, but even if everyone is right, you can't all come with the same numbers. That's the beauty of a poll. You don't meet the same voters, right? Everyone goes to a different locality to do survey. There is some element of sampling error, something. So everyone can't come back with the same numbers. So the fact that Axis got different numbers and had the courage to put them out, and I think that is what distinguishes them, or at least in this case has. They got different numbers and they had the courage to put it out. I put it out with trepidation an hour before Axis, but I put it out with a lot of trepidation, and I said that before 5 more polls come, let's put it out.
And before you get scared?
Before I get scared. Absolutely. Because there is an army of trolls on Twitter, or people who want to just, who want to take you on if you're wrong.
So now tell me, why did Tamil Nadu go all out for Vijay?
If you look at our survey, we asked one question, and I think the answer to that captures literally the sentiment of the voters. We asked a question, we kept the survey short. I think people just don't have the patience in the days of Instagram for long surveys. And we asked a question in the middle of the survey, third out of fifth question is, do you want the DMK government to come back to power, or do you want someone else, someone other than DMK to win these elections? And around 72% of the voters we surveyed said that we are looking for a change, which means we don't want the DMK government to come back to power.
But why would you not conclude that they wanted AIADMK to come?
No, but so there we had then the question on whom did they want. The next question was whom do you want as the chief minister? What did the Axis poll say? 37% want Vijay as CM, and he polled 35%. Same in our poll. Whoever said they wanted to see Vijay as chief minister, ended up voting for TVK. More than 95%.
So what was the appeal? I saw the swearing in, like I'm sure you did, and lot of people, who tuned in to see the swearing in. Of course, he said many things, and the visual imagery also conveyed a few things. But he said a new era of secular social justice starts now. A new era, new secular social justice starts now. Secular and social justice is not new to Tamil Nadu. Only new is new.
I think
What does he stand for?
he won, and his appeal was his freshness. That I am not DMK, I am not ADMK. So, without going into micro analysis, my own hypothesis is that in India, given the income inequality, given the joblessness, given the fact that there are so many poor, even in a city like Mumbai. Look at the slums. We only see the high rises, but look at the slums. You will always have a situation after 5 or 10 years when a government completes 2 terms where voters will say, "Bahut ho gaya. My life hasn't changed too much." So you are looking for a change. The question is who's appealing to that aspiration? Who's appealing to that sentiment of change? So there was a burning sentiment of change that we want change and we desperately want change. Vijay gave them that option.
There is an understanding that change will not make things worse. What is your sense?
My sense is that people are looking to Vijay with a lot of hope, just like they did with MGR. It's important to remember that the great MG Ramchandran, he never lost an election. 10 years in power, did not lose an election, irrespective of the headwinds, tailwinds at the center, in the state, he kept winning. So there is an element of craze, there is an element of demigod status to superstars in Tamil cinema, like it is in Telugu and in South industry, and there is this that faith that Vijay can't do anything wrong, which is why a Karur-like tragedy, which could have sunk some other politician overnight, that's it, did not sink him. Because there was the faith that, that irrespective of what had happened, Vijay did not mean ill. His heart is at the right place. And at least to start with, when you're taking on entrenched parties like DMK and ADMK, I think that freshness stood out. Who were the 2 other CM contenders? Mr. Stalin, 73. And Mr. Edappadi Palaniswamy, who is 72. So Vijay, 51. At the peak of his film career, coming to politics and saying that I won't do films any longer, saying that I am declaring almost 600 crores, 700 crores as my net worth in my election affidavit. I don't need this for money. I'm not doing it for money. So, trust me once. And that especially in Tamil Nadu, that works. It can work.
What did you think of the whole swearing in, the jacket? I can see you also come wearing a jacket. What's going on? Like, this is the Vijay look or what?
This is the Arun look.
This is the Arun look. That's even better.
But it was electrifying. The last time I saw...
it was so smooth. It was like a spectacle for television. That background, the flag color background that they've used, so clean, right? There was no imagery on it, just the text, very modern and absolutely visual in its impact.
People say that BJP, everything that they do is a spectacle, it's like a big cinema that you're watching. Everything is so beautifully scripted and produced and executed. Vijay showed them that he can do better because he comes from that background. So every imagery that you're seeing, in our mind, everything is appearing spontaneous. But Vijay is someone, when the camera is on, he just knows how to act. He knows what the expressions that will click with the... When I say act means, it's about the expressions that will click with the voter. It will click with the common man. And that's what he did yesterday.
Yeah. I will admit, I saw him in action for the first time yesterday. Because rally speeches, if they're in Tamil, I'm not getting it, right? And they're not translated like the way his swearing in was done live. And also because he broke into English at very critical points of that speech, and it was very, very impressive. But what happens next? Do you have a sense of what is happening next, or your psephology junkie, election junkie? Chalo, next election. Have you moved on, or are you going to watch what's going to happen?
One reason why I'll watch what happens next is uh, Vijay. Even when I was speaking to some people in Pune, in Mumbai, the ordinary common man seems to be interested in Vijay. Oh, he's got sworn in, and Vijay has got sworn in. So, unlike other politicians, Vijay does have
Of course,
some part of an element of cross-state appeal. Whether that converts into, or whether he's able to convert that into some sort of a organization in different states is something to be seen. Age is on his side. Whether he wants to expand to rest of the South, whether he wants to restrict himself only to Tamil Nadu as MGR did, as Jayalalitha did, largely, or whether he wants to test his appeal beyond Tamil Nadu and the South is something that I'll be watching, for a simple reason that a 51-year-old film star winning so big, peak of his career, a good 20 years still to go. Rajnikant, the great Rajnikant, at 69, 70, his films are still a blockbuster. So, good 20 years to go. I think Vijay, from whatever you're seeing in the last few days, I think he's playing a long game. And I would like to see what that long game is, because he's not given any bit of his mind to any media person in the last 6 months or a year. So you'll have to watch his moves.
And he's not even expressing himself on social media, right? There is a little bit of an enigma where he's concerned, right? As to his intentions, as to really what his goals are.
Number one. Number two, he's the first politician in the last 10, 12 years, after Mr. Modi, before that a little Mr. Kejriwal, who's caught the complete fancy of the Gen Z. Now Gen Z is started voting, say, in the last 4-5 years. Now, for him to have swept the Gen Z vote, can he replicate that elsewhere? Or can he, build up a big momentum of that young voter? How does he keep them united? Like, for example, Obama, he won the young vote by a big margin. But Democrats have not been able to replicate that afterwards. So, is it something that is only Vijay-centric? Is something we'll have to see. But he's caught the imagination of the young voter in Tamil Nadu. And I want to see, after 2 years, if he's had a reasonably successful tenure, then what call does he take for Lok Sabha 2029 or whatever, to see. And maybe he doesn't.
So, are you on the side of the people who approve of the Congress's decision to back him and in the way they did?
Absolutely. I have
both the action and the manner in which the action was undertaken.
I think if Congress was already in two minds before the elections on whether to go with TVK or DMK. I think the old guard prevailed.
Yeah, that's what it's reported.
And when the results came in, see, some of these decisions that you take in elections can have a huge impact. And this one, the Congress supporting TVK, Vijay, essentially is their calculation that Vijay is the future and the central pole of Tamil Nadu politics for the next 10 to 15 years or whatever, at least. So that's the calculation they have made. And for them, I think it was a no-brainer. Those who are questioning about morality, ideology, and so on and so forth, I think we've all realized in the last, especially 3-4 years, that it's only and only about power politics. So.
And there are some takeaways that that you've had as a result of this, right? Like, nobody wants to sit out.
You look at AIADMK, right? Today, they are out of power now for 5 years. Another 5 now. And you have 2/3 of MLAs who are willing to break away and potentially support the TVK government. Why would someone, most of them may be in their mid-50s and early 60s. Now, they may think that I don't even know whether I'm going to contest another election. If the Vijay enigma or the Vijay wave continues, whether I'll win again. My seat, whether I'll win again. No one wants to take those chances. I think today, you look at Maharashtra, what happened with Mr. Ajit Pawar, Mr. Eknath Shinde, they all broke away. And one of the reasons was like, my MLAs don't want to sit in the opposition. We want to be in power. And that I think the voters are accepting.
So everybody between the political class and the voters have accepted that politics is just another business and an occupation, and you do go where it suits you best.
And that's what DMK did. They came in when Jayalalitha, Miss Jayalalitha withdrew support to the Vajpayee government. The Vajpayee government fell by 1 vote. They went with DMK. In 2003 December, I think, and I was at that time in Asian College of Journalism in Chennai, and I had covered, Mr. Muraswamy Maran's funeral. I think the Prime Minister, the big cabinet ministers had come. And DMK withdrew support to the government 6 months before the elections, after being 4.5 years in power, enjoying the fruits of power. Some of the meatiest ministries, powerful ministries were with DMK. And they went with Congress just before the elections. But for DMK switching sides, the NDA possibly would have come back. And the history would be different of Indian politics and elections. But they did not. Suddenly after 5.5 years, what did you realize about BJP that you did not realize in the first 2 years? So I think it's very clear now that today there is not even a pretense about ideology and so on and so forth. I think it's so obvious that it's about power, and it's only about power. And the voters are fine with it. The voters largely are fine with it.
Arun, let's close this with Vijay. His film career is over. So there's one film that will release, Jan Nayagan, which did not get released in January.
Despite that, he won.
Despite that, he won.
That'll get released now.
That'll get released now.
Yeah,
but otherwise, he's retired from his film career.
It looks like. And my own sense is that everyone is underestimating him in terms of governance. Everyone thinks, a lot of pundits think that he'll go the Arvind Kejriwal way. And you'll have a lot of the shor sharaba and a lot of street level protests that you saw with Arvind, that it was very different. A lot of us felt that they were standing up for the right cause, but eventually the voters did not appreciate that. And he frittered a once in a 30-year moment or a once in a 50-year moment to overnight capture the imagination of voters nationwide. Now with Vijay, whatever I have seen so far, I think he's understood the mistakes that Arvind Kejriwal made.
He's picked up lessons.
Absolutely. A lot of the success of Arvind, I've kept saying before the elections, this appears like Delhi 2013 for many reasons. What now Vijay needs to only avoid is that aftermath of Delhi 2013 should not be the aftermath of Tamil Nadu 2026. He needs to be a little more conservative in terms of his approach than what Arvind was.
Do you see him being able to run this through, given that he is relying on so many partners to stay in the, to be able to stay in government?
I expect this to be smoother than most people think, at least in terms of the number game. I don't think number game will be a problem. Being at 108 plus Congress 5, 113, I don't think numbers is a problem. Plus a large chunk of AIADMK may come in, we'll know tomorrow. But numbers is not his issue. I think the sort of goodwill that he has.
Not to squander that.
Not to fritter it away, which is what Arvind did. He frittered it away overnight. He was a sensation. You had a poll, I remember a Times of India poll which said 30% of voters in the top 8 cities, 30-35% are considering voting for AAP after the 2013 election. And within 2 months, we saw they lost deposits at most places. Deposits. Yeah. So Vijay needs to just be a little more conservative. He has 5 years. He doesn't need to worry about what people will think after 4 months.
Well, I hope Vijay is listening, Arun. So much passion you brought and advice for free.
He doesn't need my advice. Without listening to anyone's advice, he's got it right. I think that's the best thing he needs to do. He just needs to close his ears. He's a good listener, but he doesn't need to listen to everyone.
Okay, Arun. Thank you.
Thanks. My pleasure. Entirely. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.